We started ICPD 20 years ago, and a lot has changed since then. But back then, 50% of all clinical trials failed. And according to the FDA, they failed because of poor dose selection. This wasn't just a problem for the pharmaceutical industry, it was also a problem for patients. They were being denied potentially life-saving interventions. So we thought, if we could address this problem, we could change the world. We realized we had to rethink the way we were picking doses that go into clinical trials. When ICPD was just beginning, there was this young science called PKPD, and we saw that it would have tremendous benefit for reducing the risk of poor dose selection and the risk of failure of clinical trials. What the science basically did is it integrates a bunch of information from the in vitro laboratory, the animal laboratory, phase 1 clinical studies, and it integrates that. And under this construct, you can actually predict the probability of having an effective regimen or a failed regimen. We believe that if we could do this right, we would change the way antibiotics were developed and used to care for patients worldwide.
The main goals of the laboratory studies we complete here at ICPD are to understand and identify the conditions under which an antimicrobial performs best. In order to do that, we complete and design experiments in order to identify dose levels that optimize bacterial cell kill while preventing amplification of resistance. We use a variety of infection models here at ICPD, ranging from mouse models of infection to in vitro models that are dynamic, where they can simulate human concentration time profiles. Once we've gathered all the data from the preclinical infection models, it's packaged and sent to our pharmacometrics team led by Dr. Chris Urbino. Chris then fits pharmacokinetic models to the concentration time data collected from the systems and PKPD models to the PD data collected from the systems, allowing us to evaluate the exposure-response relationship between drug exposure and bacterial burden response. These data are key for identifying regimens for evaluation in clinical trials.
Just because we know what drives the efficacy in these in vitro animal models, we still have steps to go before we know what the dose will be in humans. And what we'll then do is we'll take the data from the human pharmacokinetic studies, usually just phase 1 studies, and develop what's called a population pharmacokinetic model. And that model describes the PK of the drug that we're looking at and allows us to predict what kind of doses would be necessary to hit those targets that we've defined from the animal or in vitro models. And that is what goes into the next batch of clinical trials.
Collaboration internally to produce high-quality preclinical and clinical information is critical. Sharing these data externally is critical to helping drug developers select and develop the most optimal dosing regimen. Finally, it is important to help regulatory scientists and other stakeholders understand the basis for dose selection and justify in vitro testing criteria for susceptibility testing.
We've taken everything we've learned about PKPD, our successes and our failures, and put it into Prxcision. Prxcision's an EMR integrated decision support system. It's actually artificial intelligence, and it allows clinicians to make rapid decisions much faster than ever before about the adequacy of potential regimens they may select for a patient. But it's more than just a tool. It's a way to bring everything that we've learned to the people who need it most.
Prxcision is a platform that really incorporates pharmacodynamics and marries that with what we have available at our hospital in terms of the pharmacy, what we have in terms of microbiologic data, and really gives us a very precise recommendation as to what the best antibiotic for this patient, with this organism, and with this clinical condition. It's a very rapid way of coming up with the best and essentially the most cost-effective antimicrobial combination. And I think it really enhances us here at Ellis Hospital because today we're seeing a rise of multi-drug resistant organisms. More complex prescribing decisions are required, and yet we're seeing some decrease in the infectious diseases workforce. So we need docs to have ready access to a platform like this to make the best decisions.
So I would say Prxcision is a company that's probably out there a little bit on the cutting edge, using AI, trying to put in some technology to help our sicker patients, those that involve antibiotics and infectious disease specialists. So it's probably going to give a little bit more precision to the type of care that we can use that'll help clinicians and physicians provide care.
The future of Prxcision, we want to get it in the hands of as many people as possible, as many pharmacists, as many physicians as possible, as fast as possible. And in that way, not only improve patient care, but also stem the tide of antimicrobial resistance.